Gentlemen, grab your tea. It's tea talk time with Lady O. Here's Lady O.
Thank you, Tracy. And I have my tea here as well. So we're ready to rock and roll. Well, welcome again to Tea Talk Time. We are so happy that you're here, and we have a phenomenal show for you today. Something that everybody needs to be a part of. So if you have not, and most of us have not filed your taxes yet. I know you, like me, you've been getting all those things in the mail that are saying, important information, tax information, end of the year statements, all of those kind of things. And I don't know if you're like me, but I'm getting better. And this is one of my things that I'm going to get better in. So I want to help you. When I get better, you get better, right? We get some thumbs on that. So I'm going to get better and you're going to get better. And so we're going to get better in a couple of things today of really, getting to have the conversations about our money, our finances, setting ourselves up properly so that we can live well and be generous and give to the kingdom of God. Y'all know that's what I like to do because we are put here to be a blessing and everything that we have comes from the Lord. So we want to make sure that we're just not giving back to the world, but we are doing what we were called to do. And the way you do that is by being intelligent and articulate and understanding about money, why we have it, what we're supposed to do with it, how do we best manage it. And I have a special guest for today that's going to help us. And she's already helped us. She's been in our church before. And one of the goals that we wanted to do was for us to get literate, because she said she's especially literate in financial education. So she helps us. But that's one of the goals that we want to do is get ourselves literate. That means educated. Get yourself educated about money. Get yourself intelligently astute so you understand and know fully so you will not be tricked out of your money. You won't waste your money and you will be a good steward. And in the very end, we're all called to be very generous with God with our finances. So the young lady that I'm talking about is Jana Hurd. And for over 20 years, she's worked in retirement. So you ladies and gentlemen who are on here who need to have information about retirement, she's got experience in that. And financial consulting. She holds a master's degree in business administration. And she is passionate about financial literacy. Okay. That means your money, being educated and knowing everything about your money. There's more to your money than how much you make and how much you got to spend. That's just not what you need to know. That's pretty much, we just be honest with ourselves. That's pretty much what we know. How much do we make and how much do we want to spend? And a lot of times we just spend. And so we get into a lot of tricks and things like that from credit card companies. And just by being what I would say, it's not a bad word, but being ignorant, which means you're not literate. You're not educated about it. So we make mistakes and we waste a lot of money. So that's what she wants to do. And she hopes that her work will build stronger families and stronger futures, happier futures. And I'm saying stronger churches because that's one of the things that we want. Brought her in for is to help our church people live the abundant life that God called us to do by helping us become educated on how to best make our money work for us. Okay. In her free time, she enjoys spending her time with her family. She's a dancer and just getting to meet. She's a very people person, so she loves to meet new people. And so we look forward to working with her again this year at First Met and bringing her on. So, but today I asked her to come and talk to, because most of my crowd is ladies, okay? We have some men on here. I don't know why the men are a little shy to listen to our conversation. You need it, man. So if your man is not on here, you need to call him and say, look here, boo-boo, you need this because we talk about money. And a lot of times men, y'all want to be the head of the household, but y'all don't know how to handle money, okay? And sometimes the women know how to handle it better. So it's not about, gender that the man runs the house and he handles all the money. And ladies, you got to know how to handle money because if you just give it over to him, and he doesn't know how to handle it, he's wasting your money and his money. And both of y'all going to end up broke in a bad situation. Can I get an amen? Can someone testify to that point for me? Okay. But I'm making a little light of it, but it's really very serious because I've seen many times that women will trust men with their money and then that men end up wasting it And the bottom line, we need to make sure that person is educated and literate with our money, right? So without further ado, I'm going to ask Jenna to come on. She also works
Mhm.
for Thrivent, and Thrivent is one of our
Mhm.
partners that really helps to sponsor us. Hi, Jenna. Welcome to Tea
Hello,
Talk
hello,
Time.
hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we're so glad to have you, and we can't wait to hear about your conversation. You said this is entitled "A Conversation with Women About Money."
Yes,
So I'm going to
yes.
let you go ahead and start off and just kick in there and let us go with this.
All right. So thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to be back on Tea Talk, and of course with you, Lady O. And so as Lady O mentioned, I am a financial professional. So what does that mean? I work with people on, getting their goals together for their finances, for their financial journey, for their life. Everybody has things that they want to do with their life, but it takes money. It takes a plan for us to get there. And so that's what I work with people on. I work with churches. I work with individuals. And that is really my passion, is really to see people learn about financial things. Okay, what is it about my budget? What is it about my life that I can start aligning so I can meet some of the goals that I want for myself, my children, my family, my church. So today, really, I just have 6 questions that I want everyone to really think about what the answers are for these questions. So
Okay.
I'm going to start off. I'm going to start off with the first one, Lady O, and
Okay.
I think you may have some of these too. But the first one I want folks to really think about is how well does my spending align with my income and my values?
Whoa. So
So
pretty much that means that, what you're spending, does that equal what your values are in life? Is that what that means?
hmm Yep.
Okay.
So does your spending align with what you're saying you believe in? So if you say, I love my church, or my one of my key goals is for my children to go to college. Well, when we look at your budget, when we look at your spending, do you have money allocated for tithes and offerings? Do you have a college plan set up where you're putting back money? So a lot of times we say things and we're not aligning our treasures, our money, with what our mouth is saying. So if you really have a
Wow.
treasure, your heart should be aligning with that treasure. It even tells us that in the scripture. So whenever you start to look at your finances, one of the things that you're going to be looking at is how does my spending align with what I say my values are and what I say that my actual goals are. And then the
Yeah.
other key piece to that is income.
Right, right.
You
And you know
you
what,
have to
Jana,
make
that's so funny because I've always
Mhm.
heard people say, show me your checkbook and your bank
Mhm.
account, and I'll tell you what you love.
Yes.
And if your church is not in there, if you're spending all this money on hair and nails and da 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 da, and your church's
Mhm.
portion says $0 or $50, okay,
Then
that doesn't
yeah,
align with
you're
it.
not.
That's
Yeah.
not. It
No,
doesn't.
not aligning.
And
Yes.
there's another saying that says, "I can't hear what you're saying because your life is speaking too loud.
Yes.
Your life is speaking really loud. You're
Yes.
saying I love the
Yes.
Lord. You're saying I love my
Yes.
church, but your life is speaking too loud and saying that's not really who I love." Okay, go on. Let's
Exactly.
get number two. This is good.
Number two is, let's think about your long and short-term goals.
Okay.
So how much progress are you making towards those two categories of goals? So in order to get those two categories, we have to have some goals. But this is another key question we want to ask. How much progress am I making towards those goals? If I say, again, my goal is for my kids to go, my children to go to college, do I have a 529 plan in place? Have I thought about what it takes to back money to go to the school of choice? And then if you say my goal is to be generous, to give to the poor, to give to my church, to have a volunteer activity. Okay, really? Where have we moved along with those goals? So the second question is, how much progress are you making? So
Wow.
in order to answer that question, we need to actually write those things down and start to make a plan towards it.
Correct. And I think definitely what you're saying is that if you don't have, we did, this was our first programming for the year, talking about a vision board. And we said you have to have goals, write them down, make them plain. If you don't have things written down, you don't have a goal, you have an idea, you have a
Yep,
thought.
that's it.
And when you write them down and you make them smart, specific things that you're going to do, then you can measure your
Yep.
progress, which is what you're asking us. So if you make
Mhm.
goals at the beginning of the year, what are you doing And are you making progress toward those goals? And if you haven't written them down, the answer is definitely no.
No,
And
yeah,
you're not going
write
to
the vision
accomplish
and
them.
make it plain. Write the
Hmm.
vision and make it plain. That's what that really encompasses there. And then the third question is your credit score an enabler for what you're trying to do? Are you using your credit or not? So take a look at some of the things that you want to do and then figure out what is my credit score. And if it's not where I want it to be, if my plan is to purchase a home or a car, things like that, what is my credit score and what are some of the moves that I can make towards moving my credit score in the direction that it needs to go in? And so that is the third question that I really want people to know. And it's a two-part question. First, you need to get to know what your credit score is. And then the next thing is you need to figure out if it's not where you want it to be, what are the steps that I need to start taking?
Right. And that's a really good one too, because people think that the credit score is really not that important, but it is because it can help
Mhm.
you or it can hinder you because
Yep.
whatever your credit score is, it determines how much you pay in interest. So you may pay 12% if you have a bad credit score, and I may pay if I have a good credit score 2%. So that difference in that 8 and 2%, you're paying that more money. You may be making less money, but you're paying out more money if you don't have a good credit score. So I know you probably
Mm-hmm.
talk about that later, but that is so true. That credit score is, ooh, you need to
It,
keep it.
it is critical. It is
Uh,
critical. Knowing, just as Lady O is saying, knowing what that score is, because we could be paying, we could have the same exact car and one of us pay 20,000, the other pay 40,000 for the same thing. So knowing
just
that
because of
score
that.
and then knowing the steps to clean that up if cleanup is needed. Then the fourth question is, are you using or taking advantage of all the employee-sponsored benefits that you have? So a lot of us have benefit packages at work, and many of us don't know what's in the plan. I can't tell you how many people I meet with that they have, they went to work and they signed up for all the stuff that they put in front of them, but when I say, hey, do you have an HSA? Or are you taking advantage of your match in your 401k? They have no idea. So one of the
Mm.
things that I always want to make sure I ask people is, are you using those employee-sponsored financial benefits from your company to the fullest? A lot of those things are priced well. You can take advantage of their term life policies for insurance, your match on your 401k. If you have not done this year, and annual enrollment is probably over, it was probably over in October or November, but if you have not yet pulled down what those benefits packages are, take advantage of that time and go through that package and see what is it that I'm taking advantage of, what type of benefits are, provided by my company that are maybe free or no charge, or low charge.
And you just said something there too. A lot of these
Mm-hmm.
benefits are free and we don't even know it. So good thing example of that too is
Mm-hmm.
your husband may have benefits on his job and you have benefits, but it may be cheaper for you to use the benefits that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And just because your husband's covering you with the insurance doesn't mean there's not something that's free. Some companies offer free, like say, free death insurance. And it may be
Yep.
$20,000, but it's free. But if you don't pick up on that, if something
Mm-hmm.
happens, you lost $20,000 because you don't know. My people perish for lack of knowledge. And the same thing with finances. We are in financial situations that we don't have to be because we don't have the knowledge. And that's what Jana does. And that's what I wanted to kind of,
Mm-hmm.
I know she's going to probably get to that toward the end. But the
Yep.
things she just said a minute ago are things that I know that, if you set up a time with her, she'll go over those benefits with you and kind of help you, direct you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we just need a little spark. We just need
Yeah.
somebody to just, I know I do
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a little afraid of it, a little threatened by things I don't know. And finances is one of them. Okay. So yeah, definitely the benefit package. So thank you for that. You're so
Yep.
right.
Yep. I saw a couple of good questions now too. I'm not trying to ignore you. So I saw one asking, how do we know that the benefits from our company are really beneficial over those maybe from another organization or outside? So as Lady O was mentioning, that's one of the kinds of things that we could do if you came in and had a consult. We could compare what is the company offering, what does that cost compare to if you got something out the market on your own, because you do know that if you were to get laid off or things like that, or lost your job for whatever reason, those benefits a lot of times go away with that. So a lot of times it is a good idea to do that comparison and make sure that if you are paying into something that it makes sense.
And
And then, Mhm.
Tracy was saying health flex accounts are great for prescriptions, and those are the kind of things that you don't
Yes.
know. I didn't even know that we could do this flex account. I thought it was some big companies, and so a lot of the small companies,
Yep.
they have a lot of
Yep.
matching things that they can do.
Mhm.
So you got to get
Mhm.
educated. A lot of this stuff, you're just gonna have to read on your own. You need to open up that
Yes.
benefits package, and I believe that every company has an HR person that you could go in and ask, could you explain my benefits to me? Some of it's
Mhm.
just as
Mhm.
simple as asking somebody for help. And then
Yep.
once you get the basic knowledge of what you got, then you can go to someone like Jana
Mhm.
who can, help
Mhm.
you understand what you need to do and what you shouldn't do. Everybody needs a financial planner, okay?
Yep.
Even if you don't have much money, and I know they're sometimes pricey, but that's why we try to offer things to our church for our people that cannot afford it, that they can have
Mhm.
some level of financial planning, and that's why I'm doing this here as well. So Jana's gonna be available for questions. So put your questions in the chat, please, or on
Yep.
your comments. And we've got our production people there who are going to be looking for your questions. And if you'll put them there, Jana's going to be so great. She's going to answer your questions. So
Mhm. Yes.
put them there. Jana, is there anything else you wanted to say before you're not going anywhere, but we just wanted to get our other guest on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
Go
I
ahead.
just had, I guess the other key one that we wanted to make sure I mention is just making sure your giving reflects your heart.
Oh, wow. Well, you know
Just
what?
making.
Let's just spend a minute on
Yeah.
that because, and I say that because, we're in a COVID situation. Now,
Yes.
before we were in a COVID situation, churches were always kind of the last person for a lot of people. Now, we have some great people who put God first at first met. Otherwise, we'd be in a bad situation. But we thank God for those people that put God first. But I want to ask you a question. What kind of church would your church be if every member was just like you? But you say just like me. What would my church be if every member at First Metropolitan gave just like me? And I say that because we could build the church debt free. We could do all kind of the programs. We could do what God has called us to do and even be generous with other situations and things if everybody would just do your part. We're not talking about equal giving. I'm not saying to give $1,000 a month if you don't make that money, but if God has blessed you with that kind of money, then you need to be giving back to God because understanding it all came from Him. And so when we look at that last question, Jenny, you were talking about, one of the questions you said, does my giving reflect uh, my true appreciation for what God has done for me?
Mhm.
And, and when we were talking about this earlier, I was saying a lot of times people give as if God had really done nothing for me. Here's $10. He ain't done nothing for me. He hasn't saved my soul. He hasn't healed my child. He hasn't saved my marriage. He isn't keeping me on my job. He isn't keeping me from COVID. He ain't done nothing. Here's $10. I let the other
Yep.
people carry it on. And so everybody needs to carry their own weight. Okay. This is your church home. You need to love it and your money should reflect it. So if you are in debt, now here's what I'm not fussing, guys. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay. Um, but if you have gotten yourself in a situation where you have overspent, overcharged, and you really literally don't have any money left over because you're giving it all to the world, you haven't put God first, then you need to get educated about how to get out of that debt, how to get on a plan where you can get back to where you're in the will of God concerning your finances. So I think that is really important. Jana, did you want to speak about that a little bit about giving and generosity?
Yes, absolutely. It is so important that we sit down, we make a budget. I do all my consults for free, so I don't charge anybody for consults. But just to Lady O's point, if you would sit down and make a budget, you can figure out how you can actually align your budget items and start to give to your churches, to your organizations, wherever your heart really is, and really align that budget to match up.
Right.
It's just a matter of you taking the time to take the effort to do that. And a lot of times you will find lots of money in the budget that you're wasting. You're
Mhm.
eating the money up. You're doing different things with it that you're not going to get any value out of it. But if you were to pour into your church, you pour into your activities that are really blessing yourself, your family, your children, you could really see and make an impact not only on your life but on another generation or your children's life. So very, very importantly, we really look at our budget and
Uh-oh, you're
see where
breaking
our
up
heart is
there.
reflected. Can
Okay, you're
yeah,
breaking up there.
no,
Sorry to cut you off, but I don't know if it's the whole system or yeah,
no,
it was
no.
just your system. I guess was breaking up. But let me just
Okay,
say that you are so well, and I don't. I want to move on to my next guest, but I want to say
okay.
this about Jana, and this is one of the reasons why we have her on. She's been on Tea Talk. This is the second time. Some of our guests will be bringing it back for this year, and she was the one that was
Mhm.
requested to bring back for this year. But we also have her at our church, and she works for a company called Thrivent, and I'm saying that name out there because they have put funds behind us to help us in some of our supporting because we don't charge anybody for coming on here, and we do a lot of things, and they're for free, right? So I bought her back because she does not charge for consults. You can get set up a time with her,
Mhm.
and I'll give you her information where she can do free consults. Now, if you move point that, then that's between you and her what you charge. But let me just say this: one of the things that Thrivent does is if you buy a product from their company, then they will give you some money every year to give back to that company. Now you can choose another company, but why would you give it to another company when you heard about them through First Met? So I'm just saying, if you sign up for an insurance policy, you sign up for something, they're going to give you money to give back to be generous to your church or to a nonprofit. And so I'm saying, go get your free consultation, sign up for some services, and when you get that money from Thriving, would you consider sewing it back to First Metropolitan Church since that's where you found it out from? That's another way of them helping you be generous with First Met. Okay? So I just want to throw that
Mhm.
in there. Okay, Gianna, don't go
Amen.
away. We got some questions coming up,
I'm
and I'm gonna
here.
go on to my next guest right quick. And this young man, Hayes, has a home business. Another thing we want you to do at First Met, we want you to be entrepreneurs. We want you to learn how to make money because I'm gonna tell you something. Some people have been on jobs for years, and all of a sudden they get that pink slip, and what do? Their insurance is gone, their everything is gone, and they like, what do we do? So Hayes is going to talk about how to get that business on the side, a home business. So Hayes, why don't you come on right quick and say hello? Welcome to Tea Talk.
Hello, Lady O. Thank you very much for allowing me to be on Tea Talk today.
I'm happy to have you. So I can't wait to hear about all of the wonderful things that you are doing and that you can share with our audience. So why don't you just go ahead and take it away?
All right. First, I want to say thank you to Miss Hurd. She brought up a lot of good points. I studied for 10 years under Dr. David Hollins, who was also a financial advisor, him and his wife here in the Houston area. And a lot of what she said was true. The very last thing she mentioned was having a budget. And we underestimate how important that is because my segment actually ties into what she's talking about, retirement and all of that. So, being able to budget allows you to move money where you need it. You know where your money is going. Your money's not telling you what to do. But most people don't realize that their very first business is their home. Your house is your very first business. How you run your house will determine how your business of your family will move forward in this lifetime. But
Correct.
our people were not really taught these things because school doesn't teach us anything about money. A lot of times we learn through trial and error or trial by fire, if you will, and it's not always the best teacher when it comes to income and money.
Yes.
So I started on this journey for pretty much the same reason that you mentioned earlier about losing your job. You've been on a job for 12, 13 years or better, and the job's going to do what's in the best interest of the job, and we have to do what's in the best interest of us. And oftentimes we don't do that. So having a home-based business is the best way for you to shelter yourself, to shelter your income, and to build out something that you can hand down to your children to start a legacy. You can't do that working for other people. You build their legacy and they pass it on to their children, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
they end up hiring your children, which is a cycle that we all need to break. We have been on this cycle for quite a while. So most of what I'm going to talk about today is coming from this book. The biggest tax breaks in America belong to home-based businesses by Dr. Ronald R. Mueller. I have met this man personally. He's written home-based tax code in plain English for over 20 years now. This edition I have in my hand is the 19th edition, which came out last year for 2021. So in order to qualify as a home-based business, you only need three things. You have to actively work your business regularly and consistently for 45 hours a week. That's only
Okay.
4 to 5 hours a week minimum. Now, we spend 40 to 80 hours on a job, most of us, throughout the weeks and a couple of months there. The second thing, you have to maintain records. I use an app called TaxBot because it allows me to track my mileage, to input all of my expenses in it and my income, and then that information could be printed out at the end of the year. It's a pretty cheap little app to use. And last but not least, you have to clearly establish the intent. Notice what I said, the intent of your business to produce a profit. Now, for years, I was told by many tax professionals that I needed to make a profit. And that is not at all true. Nowhere in the IRS tax code does it say you have to make a profit. Now, after 3 to 5 years, if you have not made a profit, you will get a visit from the IRS. But as long as you have your good records in hand, they can show that you have clearly made an intent to make a profit. So
let me stop you there because you're giving us so many good nuggets. I got to stop you for a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. Okay, first of all, we want to make sure we get the name of that book on the comment section. So make sure all of my production people, hold it up. It's the biggest.
Now, I have a link for you too, Lady O. Sorry to interrupt you. I have a link that I'll give you. You can give out to everybody.
Okay, good. We can put that in the chat. I'll get the link. Okay.
Yes,
and then the other thing you said, I was trying to write down here right quick. You were saying about this record keep and how you organize. What is that? It's an app that goes on your phone, or where does it go?
Yes, it's an app that goes on your phone called TaxBot.
TaxBot? How do you B-O-U?
TaxBot. TaxBot. Yes, ma'am. It's got an orange background with a little robot on the picture.
Okay.
But it is IRS compliant. Now, here's the thing. The apps that you're going to use has to be IRS compliant. TaxBot is one of the very few apps that are actually IRS compliant. So anything that it prints out for you end of year, you can literally take that to your tax person. You can use that as an audit defense, those sort of things if you're ever audited.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay, go ahead and finish on.
All right, I'll be quick here. So the last part of this is really going to bring it home, or what are the biggest small business deductions? And I want everybody to listen very closely to what I'm going to tell you. Again, once you have this book, this is the smaller book. There's a big one with much more detail. The very first tax deduction that you will have is your home. We're talking about writing off your lifestyle, but your house, your apartment, your 10 by 12 room will be your very first write-off. Where you house your business is your write-off. That space, plus any other space being used to house products for your business, becomes a write-off. The next thing you have is your personal vehicle. Your personal vehicle alone can get you anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 in tax deductions. $3,000 to $5,000 in tax deductions. Remember, you have a $12,000 cap that was set by the government a couple of years ago, and this will help you get over that cap depending on how far you drive. Now, if you have a job, you can write off your insurance on your job. All the insurance you pay for your family and you can be a write-off for you. Your children are $12,000 per year right now, tax write-off up to age 17. You just have to get them set up as an employee, right? So you're going to get a tax ID number for them. You will pay them whatever you pay them is tax-free. You can also set up an IRA for your children and put money into that up to the $12,000 also, and that is all tax deductible. All of that is a write-off up to that limit that we have for that year, which was set last year but has not changed for this year yet, right? What else was it? Any travel that is related to your business. So you and your family can literally go on a vacation. You can take a $3,000 or $4,000 vacation, but as long as you have set up some type of business function in that particular area that you're going to, all these things can be a write-off, the entire expense. So these are just a very minimal amount of expenses. I personally have been using this system for about 8 years to write off taxes for my home, my house. The other thing I tell people to do is use this to pay off your student loans. You don't have to spend all of your working money rather to pay off your student loans. That is a big debt that a lot of us carry, and it's really hard to overcome. One of those.
Now wait a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
You got to back up with that student loan thing, okay? Because I know a lot of people out here got student loans.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
You said you could write it off?
No, I'm saying you can use the money that you're going to get back at the end of the year, because your average tax return with the small home-based business is going to be from 3 to 10, maybe 20,000. If you have small children and you allow them to help you advertise and you pay them up to that $12,000.
You can pay your children underage children?
Yeah, they have to be 17 and under. 7 years old to 17, 7 to 17. And I know you might say, well, what kind of job can my 7-year-old have? Well, if you have a home-based business, you have some T-shirts made with the business name on them. When they go out to play, they're advertising for you, right? So your
All
children can be
right.
part of your advertisement, and then you pay them to
Look
do
at
that.
that. That looks like I might even want to have me another child. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. I'll get it.
My son is my gardener. So in the summertime, he maintains the yard for me, and I pay him a salary for maintaining the yard. His salary becomes a write off for me, but
Yeah. Oh
it's
my
money for
goodness,
him.
get out
I
of
don't
here.
believe in an allowance.
I didn't either. I don't believe in allowance, but this would be a good way to get them an incentive and help everybody around. You know,
Absolutely.
you talked about earlier. I wrote something down that was really kind of thought about. We have to learn how to run our own houses first,
Absolutely.
and you have to run it as a business.
Hmm.
Okay. And then, because Pete, you're talking about having small businesses, that's how a lot of people get in trouble. You can't even run your own house business right. So get that right first. And then
Yes.
you can do what Hayes is talking about, getting this home business thing. So I'm liking the way you're putting them in there, saying that first. And now let's talk about this home business. Okay, go ahead, give us some more.
Well, I was just going to say with your student loans, most people again not understanding personal finance, meaning your personal finance and how things work. Most people only get about a 3% increase in pay per year. That increase is offset by about 1.5% due to inflation annually. So
Mm-hmm.
truthfully, you only get about a 1.5 to a 1% raise every year, and that's if you're getting 3%. Now, by default, our student loans are set at a 6% increase. Do you see where
Mm-hmm.
this is going? How
Oh
can
yeah.
you overcome that 6% increase annually and not pay on your student loans until you're dead? And mind you, you can't ever write student loans off. Your children will pay your loans off if you do not pay them off before you die. So,
Yeah, you never, I mean, they don't forget.
no, they do not. But this is how
They
you get
don't, it
ahead of
does
it.
not go away.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're getting $12,000 a year in write-offs, you're going to take home on average about 3 to 6, maybe $8,000. But if you put
Mm-hmm.
half of that money back into your student loans, then you're getting ahead of them by leaps and bounds, plus the money you generate from your business, which means that that doesn't have to come from your household budget.
Right. Very good. So, what are some of the kind of home-based businesses that you kind of heard of that we might be, because with the way that everything's going, we're gonna all need to have a job, raking
Oh
the
yeah,
lawn for somebody else or
yeah.
cleaning somebody's house. And how do we, my mom was really good at that. I really admire her because my mom was a nurse, but single mom and did not have enough to pay for these four kids and all this stuff. So she did home. It wasn't home health care. It was called. She was working as a nurse off hours for other little sit-in places, and they would pay her double money just to sit there and watch a person give them their
As a
meds and
sitter.
so forth. And then she also she had a cake decorating company. So the wedding cakes in our community were made by my mom, and she made like cakes as tall as me. So she went to a little class and learned how to make that cake icing and whatever, make the little flowers. And so she made money off of that, and that a lot of that might have been a little cash money, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But she always had some other jobs besides her nursing career.
Absolutely. Now, the
Oh,
thing about that, a lot of us have that, and we've all seen that growing up as kids. You had the cool cup lady, you had
come
the
on,
cake lady, the chip lady in the neighborhood. We had that lady
candy
growing
lady.
up. But most
Yeah.
of us don't realize that some of the things we know and learn on our job can be turned into businesses. Things that you're
Mm.
good at can be turned into businesses. Your artistic talent, your dance talent, all of those things can be turned into a business. We just never thought about it. We haven't been taught to think about it in that way. We literally go to school in truth to learn how to be an employee. Very little about
Whoa.
school is meant to teach you to be a owner or a business owner, because it's just not the
Oh my
way that
goodness.
school came about. So just over the
Okay,
years,
okay,
I've
let's
learned
stop
all of
for a
these
minute. You
things.
just said something that struck a little nerve with me. So we go to school, we get a student loan, we pay all this money, we get all the steps all night long for the try to get past these tests and turn in papers, and we're working to learn how to be an employee.
Correct.
And when we really should be learning how to get to those steps and put them in place so we can be own our own business, our own
That is
entrepreneur,
correct.
or be at a level where we can be making good money on the ladder and not being at the bottom still trying to be an employee.
That is correct.
Whoa.
I mean, and you look at how we're discriminated against, some of us in the world are discriminated against in higher numbers when it comes to the higher ranking positions that really pay well. It just doesn't bode well, but nothing about this country was actually put together for employees. America was built on business. Small business is still what makes America thrive. This pandemic is killing a lot of those businesses off because people are so adjusted to brick and mortar. But here's a trick: you can have a home-based business that still has a brick and mortar location. It is called your principal location. So your principal location is where you do all your book work, where you do all your behind the scenes things related to your job, if you will. That means that's your business location. So when you do your LLC or your DBA, you're going to use your home address as that primary location for this business. And then you can still have a brick and mortar if you need to have a brick and mortar, and it count as a home-based business. But see,
Wow.
again, that's stuff we were never taught when, going through school. I have a business degree. I have a degree in entrepreneurship, and nothing about that degree taught me these things. I only learned this being out in the world, talking to a lot of different people, and subsequently running into Dr. Mueller, through a friend of mine who had been using his techniques for years and also taught me those same techniques over time. That's the only way I learned these things, but it's all been spelled out and it's been there since the early 1900s. These laws have been on the books, but most of your CPAs, they don't even use this for themselves. The CPAs are so quick to go run out and work for a corporation or go work at like H&R Block or one of these other companies, which is not their own business, and don't even use the information that they've learned in school because they're never tested on home-based businesses in their all of their training and everything. So they
Wow.
forget about this stuff. They bury it, but it can literally
Yeah.
help them and their community build out. So
Well, let me tell you this. We're going to go and I have another guest here, but we're going to have another show. Because even my next guest that I have, I told her, I said, we got to have a show on how to start small businesses and LLCs and all those things you just talk. We just don't have enough time today in this show because we're talking about budgets and tax and those kind of things and getting some professionals out there. But what we're going to do is, so don't go away. If you have any questions, or anything, just write them in the chat. We'll get back to those. We're going to go on to see our next guest and get her on here because so my next guest is Miss Connie Saray, and what she does is she does some of the same kind of things. She's been a small business owner and she's run her business and she has done taxes and worked for HR Block, and she knows a lot about getting ready for tax. So I asked her to come on and help us get some tips on how to get organized. One of the things I hate doing every year is preparing my taxes. So I want her to give us some tips on how to make it easy so we don't have to miss a year and not file late or file it wrong. And so Connie, why don't you come on and say hello to Tea Talk? Connie, there you are. Hi, Miss Connie. I hope she's been having problems with her internet, so hopefully she won't freeze. Are you
Hello, everyone. How are you? Hello,
Oh,
could you hear
Connie, we can hear you. I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk, so I won't interrupt you. Go
me?
ahead. Okay, you're gonna need to go ahead and just talk. I'm not gonna interrupt you because you're having problems with your computer, with your internet. So once you start talking, I'm gonna let you go ahead. Tell us about some of the ways we can get organized and prepared for paying our taxes.
Which I have.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to Connie in a minute because she's having some. I can tell you what she told me, okay? Because we talked a long time about it, and some of our other guests can get in here and jump and help her. One of the things she told me about was is having a habit of being organized. Okay, you just don't get organized and go to the tax person because what she says that when she was working for HR Block that people coming with big shoe boxes and bags of bills and receipts and things like that, and that's what they call getting organized to go to the tax to pay their taxes. But she was saying and that we need to have a system that we do, and her system is this. She said, when I pay for something, I keep the receipt in my hand. And when I go to my car, I put it in my console. And when I get ready to record them and organize them like once a month, I think she said, or whenever it gets full, she says she just pulls them out. And there's this scanner. and you scan it into your computer. It has different categories. I don't remember all the categories. Y'all can probably help me. I think she said medical. We can talk about those categories in just a minute, but kind of what she said. Do y'all know what she's talking about with having this scanner that scans your receipts into the computer and you can organize it that way? Anybody can talk about that for me?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different tools and software out there that you can use. One of the ones that I use that they don't charge you unless you go over a certain number of receipts a month is called Expensify. And with that one, similar to what Ms. Connie was mentioning, you will just gather your receipts. I do them as soon as I get it. I don't wait the whole month. As soon as I get it, I categorize it. Was it client lunch? Was it travel? Where does it fit in the categories? Similar to what Hayes was mentioning, as business owners, we need to think about what our expenses are and then start to put those things in categories. So you'll have those categories in mind, and then you can start putting that through the tool, scanning it up and putting it into a tool like Expensify.
Now, can you go ahead and spell that for me? What you said is Expensify? How do you spell that?
It's Expensify, and I'm sure there's other tools too. Hayes, you know of any others?
I honestly, I mostly use the tax bot. It's $75 a year, but it does exactly what you said. It categorizes
Mm-hmm.
all of your expenses. You can take a picture of the receipt, put the notes in there. But the biggest reason I use it is because it tracks my mileage and I don't have to use anything external. Like I was saying
Mm-hmm.
earlier, is even your travel to your job becomes part of your tax write-off within this whole framework of things.
Yep.
So I only recommend CheckSpots for those who have a home-based business, but anybody can use it. Really, most of your entrepreneurs
Yeah.
do.
So
Mm-hmm.
is it good
Yep.
for like home tools? Okay. What she talked about too, and bless her heart, I hate she can't get on. She had a beautiful presentation, but she said that, everybody pays taxes if you work, if you earn money. If you don't earn money, you don't have to pay taxes. That was a question she was going to share. But there's two kinds she was going to talk about. Your personal means if you don't own a business or anything, like you get your 10 whatever it is, your tax thing from your
Your W
employer,
W
file
two.
your tax.
1090.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one she said is a C, something that you file if you have a business.
Schedule C.
Yeah, Schedule
Schedule
C.
C.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Simple
Yep.
C. Okay, a simple C. And so she was going to give that. So this organization that you're talking about, if you were organizing for a home, what kind of categories would you have?
Hey, for your
Things that
home base.
are
I'm
things you
sorry.
can write off.
Things you can write off. You can write off your. Well, here's the trick. I never write off my gas because they only give you like, what was it, like a small, like 15% or 15 cent off of that. If you use your mileage, you're getting about 58 cents per mile, which you put a lot more miles than you do gas in your car. You can write off your power bill, your cell phone, your cable bill, all of those things that you use within your home or that you pay on in your home. All of those things become tax write-offs because you need those to run your business, and that's what
And
builds it
that's
to
for
be
the
such a
business.
robust amount.
I thought of
Yeah.
one other thing she was gonna say too. I was gonna ask you about this. This year with COVID, we heard that they're not allowing you to write off your house for a tax deductible for your businesses since have you heard of that?
Well, I only heard that was for people who were working from home because typically in years past, if you work from home, just your job actually had you working from home. Those things
Okay.
became tax write-offs anyway because it was required for your job. And I believe that's what they're not allowing everybody to write off this year is you being an employee working from home. Those expenses
But if
won't
you
be
have
deducted this year.
your own business, you
Yes,
can
if
do
you
that.
have your own business, you can still write
Yep.
it off. It won't mean anything to you. That little portion won't have any effect on you.
Okay, okay. That was something. And then she also was going to share with us that there's this new thing that they have where when you file your taxes, if you write in there COVID, it's some kind of COVID, what would you call it? Like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry she's not able to share with us. But it's something like you write on there that you can put that they will take into consideration that you had a hardship or something like that due to COVID.
I'm
Have
not
y'all?
too familiar with that, so I won't speak on it. Again, as a home-based business owner, I really don't. A lot of those guidelines won't affect me, because a lot
Okay.
of business rules are different than personal worker, from home. So I've never had a work from home type of situation. I've always either had a business and a job or just a job. So I can't speak on that at the moment.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we
I
have
do
any
know that on
questions?
COVID,
Go ahead. While we're doing
there
this,
are
I
some
want to
different
make sure
hardship
that we have
programs
questions.
and different things. Can you guys hear me? I don't know.
Go ahead, Jana.
Yes.
Okay. I was just saying that with COVID, there are some different programs and different deductions, especially with employee benefits. If you took part of your 401k or if you took any money of your benefits packages, things like that, some of those things you can are treated differently this year on your taxes.
Okay. Very good.
And Miss
Do
Lady
we?
O,
Yes.
a
What I'm
lot
going to
of
ask
these.
you to do is each one mute your mic when you're not talking because we're getting feedback. So
Okay.
just go ahead and unmute your mic when it's time for you to talk. But with both of your mics on, I'm getting some feedback here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going
Hey.
to say that a lot of this information that all three of us are speaking on can be found on the IRS website.
Oh,
Always
good.
empower yourself, because at the end of the day, even if you have somebody else prepare your taxes, keep in mind that you're going to be the one standing before the judge, less likely the person who prepared your taxes. You're the one who's going to be stuck with the bill, less likely the person who prepared your taxes. So I do understand that the tax code can be daunting, but a lot of this stuff is in English or can be found in English. You can get a lot of this information for yourself from the IRS website. Do not just depend on us or other people to give you that information. You have to be self-empowered to some degree.
Thank you so much for saying that, because that's what I was going to close out by saying, that everything on here, because I know another thing, the IRS laws change. And I know that they hold you accountable for knowing that. So you can't say, well, it wasn't like that when I started my business 2 years ago. You still going to pay your penalty. You still may go to jail. And I know that for a lack of knowledge is no excuse, and you will end up paying some very severe penalties with interest. I never forget, we had a guy doing our taxes years ago, and he was a member of the church, and he had a little tax business to the side, so forth. So we let him do our taxes, trusting him. And so when the IRS came back and says we didn't do something, I don't even really understand what we didn't do, because we said, well, he prepared them. And they said, well, it's still your responsibility to know this. So guess what they did? Because they found it years later. We had to pay taxes and penalties. We went back and tried to show receipts and so forth. The lady was so nice. She looked at our receipts and everything, and very, very nonchalantly said, you still owe the taxes and the penalties. You want to pay them today, or what you want to do? No heart. It just broke my heart. And then I was upset with the man, that did the taxes. I'm like, but she said, no, it's your responsibility. So that website is it irs.gov? Is that the name of where they go? The website? Okay, go to irs.gov and double check everything we're telling you. Okay, it's your responsibility. This is what I'm talking about being educated. In finances, you got to go and check this stuff up for yourself, because they do change. But we're giving you some ideas about things that we know, but we may or may not be right if it's changed yesterday. Okay, Jana, you were about to say something.
No, I was just mentioning that, there was some opportunities to take advantage of your 401k and different things like that through COVID. You could have taken it. Typically, you can't take it, unless you're 59 and a half, or some different things around different benefits we were allowed to take advantage of some things that are outside of what was typically offered. So I was just saying, if take advantage of those things with COVID,
Okay,
could,
hold on one. Hayes, is your audio on? Your mic muted? Somebody's mic is not muted. I don't know what it is, Jana, but your voice was very, very choppy. But what she was saying was, there are some benefits that you can take advantage of due to COVID that typically you wouldn't be able to do. Like, for instance, there are times where you could go into your 401k and different things like that and pull out money, but there's penalties for doing it at a time. But during COVID, you can go in there without penalties. In some instances, you have to find out specifically. But this is the thing that I say: if you don't call and ask, you won't know. I know one of my credit cards, I was calling because I was trying to see if I could get the interest rate reduced because of COVID. And she said, oh, yeah, we have a COVID plan. She said, what we'll do is we'll defer your payments for a couple of months, and we'll do this, but they will not reduce the interest rate. Okay. So they do have some plans, which is still benefited them. I said, well, it's benefiting y'all. If you put it off for 2 more months, I still got to pay the interest. She said, but yeah, if you don't have it this month, don't worry about it. We'll just charge you interest and put it on the end of it. So we got a few more minutes. Let's talk about getting back to one of the biggest things, and you all both can kind of think of one. What are the biggest things that hurts Black people about their finances? Is it the credit card overpaying? Is it paying late? What kind of traps do we fall in as Black people that takes away our money? Okay, Hayes, go first.
Working in the real estate industry for about 10 years and working in the car business for another, couple of years now, I can tell you that paying late is the number one thing that destroys us. Not understanding credit is the second thing that destroys us, because you can walk into any dealership, purchase a car. If you don't know what your credit score is and what rates are related to that score, you're going to pay double for that car. Same thing with the housing industry. If you don't understand how points work, which are interest points in your loan, you're going to overpay for that house. We overpay for everything. And I, over the years, worked as a financial advisor. I tried teaching a lot of this stuff, and it became a challenge because people just wanted to know how they could spend. They didn't want to know how they could save or where they can put money up for later. They just wanted to know, how much can I spend? I've literally sat with nurses who were spending $2,000 or $3,000 a month on shoes and clothes. And we sat down, we went through her budget, we did a whole reverse of her budget with her overtime and everything not even calculated in it. And just with her income alone, she was overspending so much that she couldn't afford to even take a trip to New Orleans if she wanted to, because she was overspending. So for us, it's just not understanding money, just like Miss Hurd said earlier, not understanding that, not knowing that your home is your first business.
And you know what? Let me just say this real quickly before Jana comes. This is the biggest problem that we as Black people have been taken advantage of since before we could read and write, and we had, certain laws and things. They just, shortchange us and cheat us out of this because we don't know. And then when we got money, we were so busy trying to spend the money, buy the designer, buy this, that they still had little things to trick us, or they're still stealing our money. They're stealing it because we don't know. Now we're literally giving it to them because we're making more money and we don't know what to do with it, so we're wasting it. So we overpay, we waste money for the lack of knowledge. And so, Hayes, I think your information is there too, that they can reach you. I know you talked about home-based business. If they want more information, your information is in there as well. So, Jana, what do you say? Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
All right. So I think I agree with everything Hayes has mentioned, but I think the biggest problem is we don't have a plan. We don't have a plan. So if this is the up game that the other communities have, is they do have one. And they've had these plans have been going on for generations. They've passed these plans down from grandfather to son and on and on and on. We have to get to the point where we value sitting down and making a plan for our family, for our church, for our organizations, because that's the way that we're going to be able to think out what tax deductions can I take? Oh, because I did this is it. I know I can do this. We don't have a plan, so we don't know what we're doing. We're just going around spending money, doing all kinds of stuff. We have to stop that. We have to sit down. We have to write a budget, and we have to determine what are the things that we are going to value and put our money in to show that we are good stewards and that we have a plan for the future for ourselves, for our families, for our churches. So I think that's the main thing. Credit will come into that as you go. Everything will start to fall into that as you go. But if you don't have a plan, you just might as well hang it up. You're just running around like a chicken.
Right.
So
well, we say if you don't have a plan, if you don't plan to, what is that? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yes.
So if you fail to plan, this is why I said write this down. Take out you some time and pray about it and know where your money is going. Okay. Know how much interest. Right now, if somebody asks you, what's your debt? I want to pay your debt off. You need to know right away, okay, look here, I got $25,000, and then you'd be like, well, wait a minute, do you own your house? Oh, well, I didn't include that. Put your house in there. What is your bottom dollar that you owe? What's going on? What interest rate are you paying? How much interest rate are you paying? How many late fees are you paying? And then also a little thing that I learned is that if you call them, I think they will forgive 3 late fees a year. I think So if you late, call and ask them, something happened, I don't know, don't lie, just tell them I just whatever. And they will take that late fee off of there. But if you don't call them, ask them to take the late fee off, they keep adding them up. Same thing if you bounce a check. If you bounce a check, I never forget, I had my kids in college and I had that little account and they didn't know, I guess they had overspent and they kept putting that thing through it. Every time it would charge like 25 or 35. I went in there, was like 10 things. I went to my bank and said, look, my child in college, I don't know what they were doing, but I need this taken off. And they said, well, we can take off 4 of them. You know, I was still hot, right? But still they took off 4. They didn't take off all of them, but you got to just go in there and ask, okay? So, and I think the one for me that I would say to everybody, you cannot be God-given. The biggest problem you will make in your plan is not putting God first, because you're going to need God to give you your health and your strength, your intellect. You're going to need God to intervene with you when somebody's trying to fire you or do you harm. You just need those angels around you. You want to be in a good credit standing with God. So I would say, get your financial plan or go in there and put that thing down in writing, put God first and, whatever. Another thing I want to ask y'all real quickly, and then we got to do our closing, because y'all probably know this. What percentage of your money should go towards your apartment note or your housing?
Well, my mentor told me that you shouldn't spend more than 55 to 60% of your money on expenses. The rest of that you should be investing, and you keep about 10% to play with. That was the rules that we used in our, financial education and training with people. But I don't know, Miss Heard may have a different set of numbers. It may be different.
Well, I want to hear from both of y'all, because here's the deal. I know that the 55 to 60 means all of your non-negotiables, the things you absolutely need to live, your house, your coat, that car, those kind of things. But the other part of it, if you spend 60% of that makes you be able to give your money to God, invest some, and that kind of stuff. So that's a good rule. If the things you need to live every month, your house, car, the insurance, is more than 60%, then you're in a pickle. But what a lot of people do, especially Black people, because we don't know no better, we say if we make $100, then I can afford to pay enough rent that I can afford to pay 95 of it to rent or to a house, and then you end up over above water. Okay, Jana, what do you say?
Yep, I'm in total agreement. So 50 to 60% on what I call, you got to split between non-discretionary and discretionary income, things I have to have, the home, the car, etc. But yeah, between 50 to 60% on that. Anything more than that, you get into exactly what you're saying. Oh, I can spend $90 on my house. Well, you only have $10 left. You got to eat. You got to go this. You got to do this. So 50 to 60%.
Yeah, and you end up robbing Peter to pay Paul, and the first person you rob is God. Okay, and then you're just always upside down, always trying to catch up and trying to hook and crook. And so you want to live the abundant life. That's the way you do. Get your 60% and look at your house and all your other things. If you're over that, you need to find a plan to get back up out of that. Okay. All right. I have had a wonderful, wonderful time with you guys. Thank you for joining me today for Tea Talk. So next week we're going to. We're a little bit over. Do we have our announcements, Miss Tracy, for next week? We went over a little bit, so she may be. But anyway, we'll put the announcements on the website, okay, on our Facebook. So be looking. Oh, there you are, Tracy. I can see you. Can you see me? Go ahead and put your mute on. Can you talk?
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, so we're looking for the announcements for next week.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure we give you the announcements for next week, guys. So if we can pull those up, if not, we can do it.
Well,
Just put it on the Facebook page.
Well, the only announcement I have right now is that we have a big celebration coming up next week.
Oh yeah, Super Bowl.
And something else we're going to be celebrating. We're going to be celebrating our first lady.
Oh, thank y'all.
So y'all have to stay tuned and watch what happens.
Okay. I'll show up for that.
All right. So we're just gonna leave it right there. We just want everybody to tune in. We have something special planned for next week.
Oh, well, I am so excited. Okay, well, listen, guys, this is our time. Thank you for joining Tea Talk. Get educated about your money. Make your money work for you. Don't work for your money and don't lose it. Okay, bye-bye for now. See you next week on Tea Talk.